Hello boys and girls, the Hang Team. So anyways, right, this will be what deku with Sukuna's vessel. And, well, my friend's doing a Gojo one, so I'm gonna do a Sukuna one. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. The first major difference from canon is, well, Izuku, of course. He could see cursed spirits ever since he was little. Even when he was a baby, he saw one, vaguely humanoid, just hovering. He cried. It was a cry of fear, more than anything. And he went most of his life kind of an outcast because, well, he would cower away from essentially nothing to everyone else's eyes. He'd dodge out of the way of danger just at the last second, just at the right time. That's when the rumors started to go around. They'd call him a cursed kid. He'd always guide people into danger and escape at the very last second. It was a bad reputation, and he didn't like it. It wasn't his fault they couldn't see the curses. It wasn't his fault that they didn't jump out of the way. Sometimes when he pulled them, they just look at him in fear and disgust. And then the bullying started. It was roughly when he was about, I'd like to say 8, but it was more like 7. They started force-feeding him stuff. One time, a dead roach. Another time, this disgusting concoction with a cigarette butt. A third time, an actual fucking fly. I'm not even joking, an actual fly. God. You ever have one of those things fly in your mouth? Sorry, I'm getting off track. But all of it would come to a turnover when he was pinned to the ground. One of the kids, his parents ran a shrine. He'd stolen an artifact, some real nasty. It was kept inside of a box and wrapped in talisman. It took him roughly an hour to undo the talisman. It weakened over the years, and soon enough, they forced it down Izuku's throat. He begged and pleaded for them to stop. Please, I'm sorry, what did I do? But they forced it down his throat all the same. Izuku was 13, roughly a year before the start of the anime. He swallowed the finger. It was disgusting. It tasted like rotten death itself. Izuku wanted to vomit, but one of them clenched his mouth shut. He felt something deep in his core. He saw something when that thing was undone. That's why he was so scared. To the point where he was actually crying, but all of a sudden, it stopped, and... Oh, how great it is to feel free. This body barely counts as a vessel, but I do thank you. So, I will give you a warning. Kneel. Truly a shame that they had to die. They did free me. Although then again, children don't necessarily make the best underlings, nor servants. Well, I have full reign over this world. The women, the children, the people, they'll grovel beneath me. I can't wait. As Sukuna took a step forward, he felt some resistance. It was Izuku. He was fighting back. Sukuna's 2 little mouths that appeared onto Izuku's cheeks immediately disappeared as he spoke in a calm, clear voice. Try as you might, vessel, you will not stop my reign. These puny, pitiful sorcerers were nothing compared to what I faced. True sorcerers, and not these cheap knockoffs. These disgusting mass-produced excuses. No, imitations of sorcerers. When I was still roaming this world, sorcerers had curse techniques that did not funnel their cursed energy into one focal point. They could use it however they damn well pleased. Then he heard something. Izuku's voice. I don't care! I don't care about them. I don't care about anything. I want my freedom. I want to experience everything. I can't deal with them anymore. They're obnoxious, annoying, ignorant little brats. They lord their power over me like it's something special. Well, guess how many are dead now, and I'm still kicking? Guess! Oh, you are entertaining, Vessel. I'll make you a deal. A deal? If you can kill one of your humans, I'll lend you your body whenever I'm not using it. What? That's the best offer you're gonna get. I'll give you a month or two. I need a month and 3 weeks. Deal. And with that, Izuku got to work. He heard about sorcerers, people who could see curses too. He had them on online forums, everything. And throughout the month and 2 weeks that he spent preparing himself, Sukuna was in the background, mocking him. Not anything too bad, saying how pitiful Izuku was, how weak he was. And that once he failed, Sukuna would make something worthy of his body, worthy of his vessel. But Izuku didn't care. Compared to what the others said, those were compliments, because at least he'd be useful after he lost control. At least he'd amount to something. At least he wouldn't be scorned as some useless, worthless piece of shit that should have died a long time ago. At least he had some use. And with that, Izuku put in an anonymous tip, waiting for the customary 3 days until he got an email back. And they said they could get in tomorrow. Izuku bought several kitchen knives in preparation. They were cheap, but that's all he could really afford on his allowance. Sukuna had a surprisingly salty taste, and Izuku could only abide by it. I mean, it was the least he could do. Sukuna was offering him freedom, at least to some extent, and a purpose. Why was he so okay with this? He should be mad. He should be angry. But he couldn't bring himself to feel anything, really. Just a need. A need to be free. Because even before Sukuna, even before all of this, Izuku had never been free. Always under the rumors. As this cursed, evil thing. Bago wasn't any help. In fact, he was the worst out of all of them. He'd leave Izuku beaten and bruised. Starburst shapes on his back, under his shirt. Nothing where it could be seen if he were to wear a short sleeve shirt. But it hurt. It always hurt. And that fueled Izuku. Not revenge, but just wanting to continue on, to at least, experience some joy. Because that's all he really had. At this point, not even his mother cared about him, and he knew it. He'd just be the quirkless disgrace, a disappointment. It was August 8th at roughly 12 p.m. Izuku stood out of the building. It was raining. He saw a grade 2. There was a grade 2. There was also a grade 4, but Izuku couldn't handle this. He couldn't... He was a grade 2. From what little Sukuna said, from what little he understood, from what the form said, that should be inhuman, stronger, more durable. But Izuku couldn't let it go. He had to do something. He had to fight. Because if he didn't, if he couldn't, then he'd lose his body, his control, his freedom. And he couldn't lose that. Not again. Because for the longest time, he tried and tried to be the perfect little student. He got straight A's, never took any drugs or supplements, never got into any trouble, yet the stigma still stayed. It was because of Bakugo. It was because of him that they called him a curse. If they want a curse, if they want an evil bastard, a sadistic motherfucker who reveled in people's despair and people getting hurt, then why not give it to them? I mean, come on! What else would they expect? When shit hit the fan, in the end, it would be their fault. It would just be their fault. Izuku justified in his head. He smiled at the two Jujutsu sorcerers, a grade 2 and a grade 4. He could handle this. He just had to get the grade 2 off by surprise. He took them into the building. He was giving them an anonymous tip, but he'd also pay them for getting rid of the cursed spirit. You know, because, yeah, that's what he'd been saving up for. That's why he needed the month in 2 weeks. It took him a little bit to get the full amount of the 10,000 yen they wanted. But it'd be worth it. He'd have his freedom. So Izuku led them through the cursed building. Izuku saw them flare up their cursed energy and punch right through them. They actually had cursed tools as well. The grade 4 did, at least. The other one mainly just punched. So, he was a brawler. That'd be a real disadvantage for Izuku. He led them to the rooftop where a grade 3 cursed spirit lied. It was not necessarily the weakest, but pretty low, you know? And while they were distracted, Izuku, mustering up as much courage as he could, stabbed the grade 2 in the neck. And he didn't stop there. He kept stabbing and stabbing and stabbing and stabbing until he stopped moving. It got to the point where his knife broke, and he just bludgeoned his skull. The grade 4 had his hands full with grade 3 curse, but he managed to pull out on top. About to kill it, but then Izuku tackled him to the ground, bringing out a second kitchen knife. This would be easy. It would be easy. He'd taken both of them by surprise. This would be... I believe that's quite enough, Vessel. You've proven yourself. In fact, you've exceeded my expectations. The grade 4 looked fearful at, well, Sukuna. He saw the markings on his face, and he tried to scramble away. Hey, look at me. I will let you live, but only to send a message. You're far too weak to be a threat. Tell them the King of Curses lives, and he has a new vessel. Understood? Yes, just let me go, please, please. You're so pitiful. Kneel. As Sukuna got off of him, and, well, the grade 4 sorcerer kneeled on both his hands and knees as he dodged a cleave. Good, you know your place. Now comply with my demands. Yes. Okay. And so, Sukuna sat down, looking at the cursed spirit. It shrank away in fear as he spoke. You have exceeded my expectations, Vessel. No, I expected you to go for the coward's way out. Perhaps slaying an infant or someone younger. If you were to slay someone of your own age, I would have allowed you temporary freedom. If you would have slain someone above your age, perhaps a year or two, I would have considered keeping you and possibly allowing you to be an underling whenever you were free. But this, as Sukuna saw the grown-ass man in his mid-20s, a grade 2 sorcerer lying dead at his feet by the hands of his vessel, he smiled and started laughing. This far exceeds what I had in mind. So you've proven yourself to me, Vessel. You shall be my accomplice. You shall have your freedom. And with this binding vow, I shall only take control when I deem it necessary, or if you grant me permission. And if I deem that our lives are at stake, I will take over. Do you agree? At this moment, Izuku's heart skipped a beat. He was praised. For the first time in years, he was praised. No, not that. He was being recognized for all his hard work, his cunning, everything. He was finally being seen as not just that weird, cursed kid, but as Izuku Midoriya. But in an entirely different light, not the Izuku Midoriya that he tried to put on as a facade, but as the unhinged, unfiltered Izuku, where he'd analyze people, their movements, their actions, their behaviors, their strengths, their weaknesses, how the cursed energy flowed, how they would react in certain situations. And he loved it. He loved every second of it. And he finally spoke. Yes, it's a deal. And that's really it off. I hope all of you enjoyed, and goodbye. Quick little thing, future me here. Apparently, this is very reminiscent of Kirisho Mikumo's thumbnail, where he had a what if Deku was Sukuna's descendant. I did not know that. I apologize to him, but I re-recorded this, and I have an entire thing going on with a friend, so sorry. Bye.